students, our next chapter number 18. Chapter name is weeds in the garden. In the weeds and wilds, जंगली म्हणतो की नाही तसं, wilds in the garden. First I will read this lesson, then I will give the explanation about this topic. Most of the parents like to fulfill the wishes of their children. They feel sorry when they cannot indulge their kinds or when they have scolded them. They when even the scolding has no effect, the parents become very unhappy. Such was the case with Anshuman and his parents. Anshuman's parent has noticed that he was developing some bad habits. Naturally, they began to warn him time and again, but in vain. Anshuman just would not listen. He refused to believe that he was letting those bad habits get a hold over him. Gentle words, strict warning, scoldings now, then his parents tired everything short of beating him, and they would never do. However unhappy they themselves were, they wanted to living and gentles as they tried to correct their son's way. For a walk around farm, he was describing the specialties of various plants and the vine and the bushes tree to Anshuman. Suddenly he stopped and pointed a small seedling growing near the plant. Anshuman, that weeds, can you pull it out? Anshuman had no difficulty in pulling all the small seedling out the goods, said his father, and they continued with their walk. After a while they came upon some weeds, but there it had gone slightly bigger. Anshuman's father told him, pull out these plants too. He told him, uproot the weeds carefully, making sure that no trace of the roots was left in the soil. Otherwise, the weeds can grow. Again he warned. Anshuman uprooted the plants carefully and twisting it, pulling it hard so that the whole of it come out. Then, in the first para, most of the parents like fulfill wishes of their children. They feel sorry when they cannot indulge their kinds or when they have scolded them, and when even scolding has no effect, their parents become very unhappy. Such was case the Anshuman and his parents. That means in this story, those two characters. First is the Anshuman, who was the son, and his parents. Here parents name is unknown, that means his father and Anshuman. Those two character in this story, म्हणजे अंशुमन आणि त्याचे पॅरेंट्स ज्यांचं की नाव अननोन आहे, असे दोन कॅरेक्टर्स ह्या स्टोरीमध्ये आहेत. मग आता मोस्ट ऑफ द पॅरेंट्स fulfill his wishes their children. They feel sorry when they cannot indulge their kind or they have scolded them. That means सगळेच पॅरेंट्स काय होत नाहीत, पॅरेंट्सच्या फुलफिलमेंट्स होऊ शकत नाहीत किंवा विशेष चिल्ड्रन्सकडून होऊ शकत नाहीत आणि ते काय करतात, दे कॅनॉट इंडिव्हिज्युअल्स देअर काइंड वेन दे हॅव स्कॉल्ड देम, आणि त्यामुळे ते काय करतात, मुलांना काय करतात, स्कॉड करतात, क्राय करतात, ओरडतात. अँड व्हेन इवन द स्कॉडलिंग्स हॅज नो इफेक्ट, द crying of the parents no effect doing on the son or daughters, the parents become very unhappy. At that time the parents of these boys or these girls were unhappy. Such was the case with the Anshuman and his parents. As like in this story, the case of the Anshuman and his parents, त्याप्रमाणेच अंशुमन आणि त्याच्या पॅरेंटची केस होती. Anshuman's parent has noticed that he was developing some bad habits. That means Anshuman developed in his bad habit, developing some bad habits. Naturally, they began to warn his time and again, but all is vain. Whence here the meaning of the whence means to west. म्हणतो की नाही आपण वाया जाणे वेस्ट. Then west, that means Anshuman parents has noticed that he has, that means Anshuman parents was noticed, and at that time in the Anshumans the developing a bad habit and naturally begins to warn him that again, but all is west, because his parents warn him again and again, but Anshuman is not change his bad habit, and but all in vain. But all this try, or the all of his parents begins to warn him, he's a waste. Anshuman just would not listen, because Anshuman not in the arranged conditions, and he refused to believe that he was letting those bad habits get a hold over them. That means refuse means to nakarne किंवा neglected. That means here the Anshuman not accept that he was letting bad habit get hold over him. म्हणजे तो काय करायला तयार नव्हता, ते बॅड हॅबिट आहेत त्या मान्य करायला तयार नव्हता. Gentles word, that means gentles means to pleasant or the tenders. आपण हळूवार शांत म्हणतो की नाही, tenders. Gentle words, strict warning and scolding now and then. His parents tried everything short of the beating him up. That means his parents tried to everything. That means his parents tried to every way of the understanding to Anshuman. That means gentle words. He used the tender words, strict warnings, scolding now, but every way used for the Anshuman, but that they would never do, and that is a no use of this way. They wanted to be loving and gentle as they tired to correct their son's ways. That means the Anshuman's parents was the tired because of he used the every way of loving, way of gentles, but at that time the parents of Anshuman is tired to correct their sons way. आणि ते काय करू शकत नव्हते, त्याच्या सनचा वे काय करू शकत नव्हते, करेक्ट करू शकत नव्हते. Soon as the opportunity presented itself, Anshuman had gone to stay on his grandfather's farm with his parents. And opportunity, आपण संधी म्हणतो की नाही, soon opportunity presented itself, Anshuman and his parents goes to his grandfather's farm, and early one morning his father took him for a walk, and his father's next day or the next morning his father and Anshuman goes for the walking around the farm. He was describing the speciality of various plants and vines and the bushes, trees to the Anshuman and his parents. Description, that means get information about the importance of various plants, vines and the bushes or trees. Suddenly she stopped and pointed at small seedlings growing near a plant, and Anshuman stops the Anshuman and goes toward the small plants, and he started the seedling growing near the plant. Anshuman, that's weed, can you pull it out? And Anshuman, at that time his parents, that's a weed, that means weeds means too jungly or wild, can you pull it? At that time ask the questions, can you pull it? Anshuman had no difficulty in the pulling all of the small seedling out. That means the no difficulties or no obstacle in the pulling of the small seedling out. Then good, said his father, and his father said, good, Anshuman. His father good, said his father, and they continued with their walk. After a while they come upon the some weeds, but there it had grown slightly bigger. Anshuman's father told him to pull out the plants too. He told him to uproot the weeds carefully, making sure that no trace on the roots was left in the soils. And at that time, first Anshuman had no difficulties to pulling all the small plants, but next at that time his father said good, and father said Anshumans they come upon same weeds, and at that time he said he had grown slightly bigger. Anshuman's father told him pull out this plant, and Anshuman he told him the uproots the weeds carefully, making sure that no trace of the roots was left in the soil. You pull out this plant, but you don't harm the root of the plant. And at that time, making sure no trace on the root was left is the soils. That means you take a save the root of the plant. आणि ते काय म्हणतात त्या रूटला न हे करता तुला काय करायचं आहे ते पुल करायचं आहे. अदरवाइज द वीड्स कॅन बी ग्रो अगेन ही वॉर्न, अँड ही वॉर्न दी अदरवाइज द वीड्स कॅन ग्रो अगेन. नाहीतर काय होतील वीड्स अगेन ग्रोज होतील. Anshumans uprooted the plants carefully, twisting it and pulling it hard so that his whole it come out. That means Anshuman do your work. He tried to uprooted the plant carefully and twisting it and pulling the hard so that is the whole it come out. Then his father drew his attention to the some weeds growing at the same distance. This is there. It is grown into big plant with the tiny flowers and dark fruits. At that time, his father pay attention on the next weed plants, which is the grow into the big plant with the tiny flowers and dark fruits. That could be quite dangerous. We must not leave it growing there. Take it out, said Anshuman's father. And at that time, Anshuman's father said to the Anshumans, it could be quite dangerous. That means this is a quite dangerous. That means it is a difficult. We must not leave it growing there. Take it out, said the Anshuman fathers. Then Anshuman held the plant in the hands and gave it tug. The weeds did not move at all. He pulled harder and harder, but no avails. At that time, the Anshuman held the plant in the hands. He catch the plant on his hand and gave it tugs. Tugs means to ओढणे, जोर लावणे. The weeds didn't move at all. That means they weeds or these plants does not move at the place. He pulled harder and harder, but no avails. Avails means to benefit. That means to फायदा म्हणतो की नाही. He pulled this plant again and again, but these plants not move one place to his place, and this is the harder and harder. But this pull of these plants Anshuman again and again, but no benefit of these pullings. I can't get this out, exclaimed Anshuman. And at that time Anshuman said to his father, I can't get this out. मी ते काढू शकत नाही. It has gone too deep into the soil. That means this is plant gone to the deep in the soils. So then his father brought some implements. Implements means to tools. खणण्यासाठी जे टूल्स किंवा जी काय हत्यारे अवजारे वापरली जातात नाही, टूल्स implements means. When after some time his father brought some implements, then dug around the weeds and with the great efforts pulled it out. That means after some time his fathers bring some tools. They dug around the weeds and with the great effort pull it out. म्हणजे ते काय करतात, ते मटेरियल्स आणतात किंवा डिगिंगसाठी लागणारे ऑब्जेक्ट आणून देतात आणि काय म्हणतात ते काय कर, पुल कर. When they were returning home after the hard work, Anshuman's father mentioned, habits are like a weed. They are longer you allow them grow, and the harder it is to uproot them. It wise to get rid them when it is easy to do so. Anshuman realized the truth in his father's word throughout his life. He never forgot that early morning walk on the farm of with his fathers. That means when they were returning homes, that means Anshuman and Anshuman's father, which is the return after the hard work. Anshuman's father mentioned, habit are like the weeds. That means at that time Anshuman's father tell the Anshumans our habits as like a weeds. म्हणजे आपले हॅबिट्स कशा असतात, जंगली प्लांट सारखे असतात किंवा प्लांट सारखे असतात. द लॉंगर यू अलोज देम टू ग्रो, जर तुम्ही त्याला लॉंगर ग्रो केलंच तर ते काय होतात, हार्डर टू अपरूट देम, त्यांना काढून टाकणं काय होतं, अशक्य होतं. इट इज वाईज गेट रीड्स देम वेन इट इझी टू डू, म्हणजे त्या ज्या वेळेला काय असतात, रीड्स असतात त्यावेळेलाच त्याला काय केलं पाहिजे, आपल्याला इझी असतं त्यावेळेला काय करणं, त्यांना सोडून देणं. अँड देन Anshuman realized the truth in his father's words. At that time, the Anshuman realized the meaning of this word throughout his life. He never forgot the early morning walk on the farm with his father, and in his life he was not forgot of this message of his father. आणि तुम्ही दिलेला मेसेज काय आहे, द आवर हॅबिट्स और बॅड हॅबिट्स ॲज लाईक अ वीड्स अँड दिस इज यू अलाउ टू लॉंगर टू ग्रो द हार्डर्स इट अपरूट देम. यू अंडरस्टँड द टॉपिक, द वीड्स इन द गार्डन. हिअर गिवन द लिस्ट ऑल द वर्ड्स फ्रेज इन द स्टोरीज द इंडिकेट टाइम. दॅट मीन्स इन दिस त्या स्टोरीमध्ये टाइम इंडिकेट करणारे काय करायचे आहेत, वर्ड लिहायचे आहेत. ॲड प्रॉपर प्रिफिक्स अँड suffix. Answer, when do the parents feel sorry and become happy? When, at that time, when the even coddling has no effect, at that time the parents become very unhappy. What methods is Anshuman's parent used to warn Anshuman about his bad habit? What did Anshuman's father compare bad habit to? What is the comparison doing the what did Anshuman's father compare bad habit to? That means as like weeds. Use the following phrase in your sentence. To whence to west, get hold of and get rid of. This phrase also use in your sentence. Language study, here given the words and known as the prepositions. This is I will take in this grammar topic or grammar periods. Thank you.